This is an introduction to the Linux shell. There are many different names for the shell, such as the terminal, the command line, or the command prompt. Each name for the shell loosely implies which operating system the shell is being run on, such as the command prompt for Windows or the terminal for Mac. In order to understand what the shell is or why it's important, one must understand the role of the kernel. Basically, all hardware needs some form of software to allow users to interact with it. The kernel is the base for this software and controls what programs get access to each piece of hardware at a given time. For example, if two programs want access to the processor, the kernel determines which program gets access first and who has to wait. So essentially, the kernel is the heart of the operating system. While most users will interact with software that will then interact with the kernel, users sometimes need the full power of the operating system. The shell allows a user to cut out the middleman and communicate directly with the kernel. So now that you have a basic understanding of what the shell is, it is time to understand how to use it. A key concept to understand while using the shell is the two distinct user types. The first user to understand is the root user. The root user is very similar to the administrator account in Windows, as it has full power over the operating system. The root user can add users and configure the computer. All other users on the system are regular or standard users. Standard users have limited access to the shell, but still can take advantage of many of the features the shell has to offer. As most users are standard users, one must understand how to obtain root access. In the shell, a normal user has a $sign right before the area where they input commands, as opposed to the root user who has a hashtag. One way to gain root access is to switch users. In order to switch users in the shell, type su and then the user you want to switch to. You will then be prompted for the credentials of that user. The root user is the default for this command, and therefore you can simply type in su in order to switch to the root user. After entering the root password, you have successfully signed in as the root user. In order to get back to where we were, we will type exit to return to the previous user state in the shell. In the shell, there is also a way for a standard user to temporarily run commands as the root user. In order to do this, simply type sudo. After entering the password for the user running the sudo command, the command will run as if it were being run by the root user. Now that you learned the different user roles in the shell, it is time to learn specific commands that will help you navigate the shell with ease. The first we will learn is the ls command. The ls command lists the content in the current folder or directory. Now it is time to get out of this directory we are in, and in order to do that, we'll use the cd command. To use the cd command, simply type cd followed by the directory name where you want to navigate. In this case, we'll travel to the documents directory. Now that we're here, we can go back by typing cd followed by a space and 2 periods. 2 periods represent the parent directory, or the directory that holds the current directory that we are in. Next, we will learn how to copy and move files. In order to copy a file, simply type cp followed by the file you want to copy and the location you want the file to be copied to. In this case, we're going to copy foo.txt to the documents directory. So we'll type cp foo.txt ~documents /. Notice the tilde before documents. This represents the home directory. The home directory is the base of where a user's personal files begin. Very similar to the copy command, the move command allows us to move files to a new location. So in order to move the file bar.txt to the documents directory, we will type mv bar.txt ~documents /. Now, if we navigate to the documents directory, we can see both foo.txt and bar.txt. Mastering all of the commands the shell has to offer could potentially take a lifetime. The good news is, there's a manual for almost every command in the shell. So if you don't know how to use a command, simply type man followed by the command you want to look up. In this case, we will look up the ls command. In order to navigate through the manual, simply use the up and down arrow keys. When you are finished reviewing the manual, hit Q to return to the shell. This has been an overview to the Linux shell. Thanks for watching.